Go nuts.
Okay. Basically, my presentation today was supposed to be over Backtrack. After studying it for a while, I figured out, yeah, I would need like 2 or 3 meetings to go over everything. So I'm just going to go over one specific thing on what you can do and how you can use it and such. Pretty much, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can use Backtrack to crack a WPA or WPA2 encrypted wireless access point.
Did you say WPA2?
Yes.
You have my attention.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious.
Campus is fantastic.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah. There's a way to do it. This is assuming a couple things first. First of all, you're going to assume that the person who set up the wireless access point has a simple password. That's the first assumption. If you have a long password with like uppercase letters, symbols, numbers in it, you can crack it, but it's going to take you a long time to basically do it. Essentially, like I said, it's a dictionary attack for all purposes. Also, disclaimer before I show any of this stuff, what you guys do with this information is your own business. I take no responsibility if you end up crashing somebody's router or doing something nefarious.
Well, I have a quick question. Are you starting
Yes,
off?
yes, exactly.
Are you starting off with rainbow
Test your
tables,
own network.
or are you actually?
Oh, I'm not even getting that complex. Because I wouldn't have enough time to get into it. I'm just doing a basic word list that you can find anywhere.
Okay.
Basically,
Okay.
just simplicity.
So you're starting with a dictionary list and
Yeah.
hashing it on as you go.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Got it.
basically the more complex stuff I might get into later if there's more interest in it, but for right now I'm just going to show you the basic stuff. Okay, so basically I've already gone ahead and installed Backtrack on a USB and booted it into a USB drive because that's the easiest way to do it. It's simple that way. I've already booted into it, everything's already come up. What you want to go ahead and do first is bring up the terminal, obviously. Terminal, you just want to go ahead and first figure out what your wireless adapter is because you're going to need to know it, obviously. Most of them are about the same. Yeah, see, it's WLAN 0 is for the EEE PCs. You also want to go ahead and put it in monitor mode. Now, to put it in monitor mode, you want to go ahead and do basically, where is it? airmon-ng start WLAN 0. And what it'll do when you hit enter on that, it'll give you, I actually can show you, hold on. It'll say that, basically. It'll say monitor mode enabled on Mon 0, which we'll refer to later. Okay, so you know what your wireless adapter name is, you've set it to monitor mode. What you want to go ahead and do now is do the basic stuff, which is basically scan for any wireless access points, because you want to determine what your target is in this case. For personal security, obviously, you're already going to know the SSID, so it won't be that hard to find. That's another thing, too. With security, and this is just more of a personal thing, disable your SSID. You can still check it out, you can still find it in a weird sort of way, but if you disable it, that means it's harder to find to a certain extent.
You have to know the
Right.
You have to know the SSID, not just the. I mean, I'm thinking, air snort, for instance, will pinpoint the MAC address of the WAP right off the bat, and what channel it's on, the whole 9 yards.
Right. For this is a simple tag. So yeah, basically for this one, you don't have to know the SSID. I'm getting to that.
Oh,
I'll show you though. Okay, so
By deleting your SSID, do you just mean hide it?
yeah, you basically, like I said, it's more of a personal thing. If you go ahead and just disable the broadcast on SSID,
Right.
that means there's less chance of people getting into
Gotcha.
it. But that's just an aside. Sorry.
Border levels will bypass it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and run this. I believe that's
Most board drivers will pass if you have any sort of encryption on.
yeah. Okay, so you want to go ahead and scan. That's gonna be arrow dump -ng. Sorry, I gotta type most of this stuff down. Mon 0, which is what you're monitoring off of.
And so that's going to dump everything that Mon 0 sees.
Yeah, that's basically going to show you every single wireless access point that's open. It's going to show you all the information.
Scanning all the
So you're capturing you're just doing a packet capture to crack against.
Right now,
packets.
you're just scanning. You're not even capturing into a file. I mean, you
Okay.
can see the data up there, but we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
So basically, it'll show you all the open points. I just went ahead and killed the process because we don't need to capture any more than that. And the specific one we're going to be targeting is this one, the Belkin one, which I've set up over there already. Yeah.
Now, real quick on W. No, never mind.
Yeah, sure.
I answered my question.
Yeah, does this work with PEAP as well? I mean, isn't that a fork of WPA2?
You what now? Sorry.
PEAP, isn't that like a fork of WPA2?
In simple terms, isn't WPA mostly a rotating web key at a small interval?
Which I was initially going to show that, but that involves packet injection. That takes way too much time to. Well, I mean, it does for me. So most people probably does, but okay. So you went ahead and basically you see the actual access point you want to get into. It'll show you all the information in there. It'll show you the BSSID, the channel it's on, the encryption. It'll show you all the good stuff. Basically, the only two pieces of information you're going to need is the BSSID for this access for the router, basically, and the actual channel. That's all you're going to need for it. From here, what you want to go ahead and do is now capture the actual data that's going to that one specific router. To do that, you want to go ahead and type in this command. Let's see, what is it? I don't know why I'm doing it this way. This is the hard way. Okay. You want to go ahead and put in arrow-dump -ng, and then space -c, and then 6, which is the channel. That's referring to that. And then the BSSID, which is basically, the best way to do it is just copy and paste it. I don't know. I'm lazy. I don't like having to type all that crap down. And then go ahead and write it to just a random file, you name it whatever, which in this case I named it WPA2. And then obviously the wireless adapter name, which in this case, since it's in monitor mode, it's going to be mon0. So you go ahead and hit enter. And then I'll go ahead and start writing it into that file. Now what you got to do from this point is you got to get a handshake. Now you can do this one of two ways. If a client's already connected to that, you can go ahead and run a command and it'll de-authenticate them. It'll kick them off. So basically, if somebody's connected to that wireless access point, if you hit the de-authentication, they'll lose the connection, but you'll get the handshake, and that data will be in the capture file. For the purposes of this, though, there's another way to get it too, which is, say you're scanning this and you're writing to the capture file right now, and somebody gets on right while you're trying to capture the data. That's also a way to get a handshake out of it. So I got my touch. You can go ahead and turn it on here. See if we'll, and there it goes.
Will we be able to see that on screen?
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, it's 800 by 600, so it's a little hard to show all this. It'll show over here, it'll say WPA handshake.
I see.
If I can expand it a little bit further. Yeah. And when that shows up, you have the data you need, and then it also shows a station down here. So I'm going to type Control-C, then that, and we've got the data we need in the actual capture file. So that's in there now. All we have to do now is basically use that capture file in conjunction with a word list. Now, a word list, like I was telling them earlier, you can find that anywhere. Depending on how complex you expect the password to be, you can look for really, really, really complex word lists, which I think, Church Wi-Fi has a 32 gigabyte actual file of possible passwords, complex passwords, what have you, based off the most basic SSIDs and all that kind of stuff. You can use that. But for reasons of time and for the pure and simple fact that I don't want you guys waiting here for 3 or 4 hours, I just downloaded a basic word list, and I'll show you where that is. I went ahead and put it on just on the desktop, and it's the English.txt. So, the capture file is on the desktop, the actual word list is on the desktop. What you're going to go ahead and do now is, let me get to the actual command, there it is. You're going to go ahead and use those two in conjunction. What you want to do is first, obviously, type in aircrack-ng, and then you want to refer to the actual word list file, which is going to be the English.txt, which is on the desktop. What you also want to go ahead and put in there is just go ahead and paste in that BSSID from before, and then at the very end you want to put in the actual name of the capture file, which in this instance it would be WPA2 star and then or asterisk .cip. Something to remember also about this is that up to this point, you don't even have to be near the access point anymore. You can go wherever the heck you want, because you've already got the 2 files you need. You got the data in the capture file, and you got the English.txt, which is your word list. You can go 4 or 5 miles away from it. You don't need the connectivity there. So I'm going to go ahead and run this, and I'll go ahead and go through the actual cracking process. Now, like I said, it's essentially a dictionary attack for all intents and purposes. If a person puts up on the wireless access point a simple password, it's going to get cracked. If it's longer, it's going to take a little bit longer. Obviously, like if they have it like, I don't know, 12 characters long, it's going to take a little bit longer. But in this instance, I set up the password to be about 9 characters long, and basically it took it about 10 minutes. Now, I'm not going to make y'all sit through all this crap because I want to explain it further. So let me go ahead, or I guess I can run it, but let me show you what will happen when it's finished cracking. There it is. Eventually when it finishes, yeah, The key found is jackalope. So at this point, you can pretty much, when you want to access the wireless access point, you just go up to the WPA point and type in the password, and it'll work. Obviously, I can't show it because I have to have a wire connection and to really be able to see it. But that's how you do it. It's a very simple attack, and but I will be honest, it took me 2 days to figure everything out to actually get to this point, to make it easier, because a lot of the stuff you'll see on YouTube and Google and all the stuff where they reference it, they tend to make it overly complicated, more so. But that's how you do it.
And but this wouldn't work if their key was just random characters and letters, right?
Yeah, like if they put
It has to be in your word list.
yeah. And like I said, even in certain situations where if you wanted to make it random characters, I mean, they have that 32 gigabyte word list, and they might have it in there. There's a whole entire initiative where they have a bunch of people set up to where they basically look for just that kind of stuff, and that's why it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'd say personally, if they're coming out with 64 gigabyte thumb drives, put that sucker on there, or up there. But that's just me. But yes, this is assuming a couple of things. One, obviously, you're going to have a simple password. It's just going to be a regular word. It's not going to be anything complex. Two, it's assuming that obviously, they're going to be broadcasting their SSID. Those are the two main things. That's why I put on there simple password bad, SSID bad. Basically, if I can hack it, that's not a good thing. Like I said, it took me 2 days to learn this, and that's a short amount of time to actually learn how to do this. Web hacking is even more simple. Like I said, I would have showed it, but it would have taken a little bit more time to actually show you all the packet injection and all that kind of stuff. I would just want to make it simple, easy to understand. But I guess that's about it. There's a lot more stuff in Backtrack 4.
Time's up, sorry.
I got a finger for you. You want to know what it is? But that's essentially it. There's a lot more stuff in Backtrack, and I can go over it if there's more interest in it. But I just kind of want to start out with something simple first, because I figured everybody can do this if they want to. But I guess that's it.
With the dictionary tag, does it vary the capitalization?
Like I said, it all depends on the word list. For this
Whatever happens to be in the word list.
Yes.
Okay.
For this one, I think it was like 44K. I can't remember. It was a large one, but they do vary the capitalization on it a little bit. But capitalization does count. If you mix it up too much, it's going to be harder to crack.
I used to know of a good word list generator where you can specify your criteria, and I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
So long as I use it.
There's some other stuff in here. Jordan was talking. I was talking to him earlier about it, and he mentioned it a little while ago, which is John the Ripper, which you can use in conjunction with this. I would have gone into it, but like I said, I thought I had like 10 minutes, so I made it short. But yeah, it's a fairly simple process. Anybody can do it. Yeah.
So why would you want to do this? Quite simply, why would you want to do this?
Okay, we're gonna go two routes with this. Let's say you just want to test your own security. That's the legal approach.
Or your business security.
Yes, or business security. Yes.
That's why you would want to do it. Now,
Yes.
why would somebody who's evil want to do
Now,
it to you?
why would somebody who's evil want to do it? Well, let's just say they're stuck in an airport or stuck someplace and they just want to get on the internet and surf the web, do their thing. They just want to get on the internet. So basically, they use this whole entire process, get the password, and get some free internet, essentially. They can do other stuff with it if they want, I imagine.
Someone really evil.
Yeah, but that's the basic thing. I mean, if it were just some random Joe, they'd probably just use it to get the password so they can get on. Because a lot of people have it locked down. They think, oh, WPA, that's secure enough for WPA2. It's the most secure thing. I can just put any password in there, just a word will work. And that's not true, obviously. If you put a simple password in there, it is going to get hacked. So.
And it doesn't matter what encryption you use.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't
You're not
really.
breaking the encryption.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, now this is based on just if they're using a passkey phrase. I think there's ways to where you can start going about MAC addressing or some kind of crap like that if you
Well,
want
you
to.
do MAC authorization.
Right, but there's still ways around that too.
Absolutely.
If you want to take the time.
The best
You can still
defense
get around
against
that,
the
though.
dictionary attack, though, is a null character is the first character in your passphrase.
Yeah, that is
And
good.
I'm serious. I
Yeah.
know it
Nice.
sounds stupid, but
It works.
It totally defeats
Yeah.
every dictionary attack.
Unless they go ahead and somehow put the nulls in there,
Then-
which they are starting to do.
Yeah, but the complexity of that alone.
Right.
Well, they would have to start nulls, and now you're going from dictionary attack to brute
Brute
force.
force. Right. Which
And
is
don't worry, they don't have that kind of time.
Right, which is why I went into this. Brute
Yeah.
forcing takes a little bit more time. It's the success rate I think for it is a lot higher, but
If you're real
It takes a
concerned about wireless security, treat it like a regular password.
Right.
In your house, assuming you have a small number of machines that you're dealing with, change your passphrase on a regular basis like you would your password at, say, a school or at work or something like that. You know, every 2 months, change your passphrase. You know,
Yeah.
so if they've cracked it once, then they're gonna have to go through the effort of trying to crack it again.
Which is kind of the useful part about this whole entire hack in and of itself is that if a person wanted to get in there, they don't have to be there after they go ahead and capture the data. They can just take this home and just run it on their computer. And
Well,
that's
the hope would be after, by the time they've cracked it and they come back,
it's already
change
been
your
changed.
passphrase.
Right.
Exactly.
But another thing that also depends on how quickly this is cracked, other than the word list and the complexity of the password, is the actual hardware they have. You were mentioning earlier about certain types of encryption will just take a long time to do, and right now they're almost impossible. But the thing about computers is which everybody knows, the technology expands so quickly that there's no way to, you can't really say that with any certainty. If you have a really fast processor, which they keep getting faster every single month, it seems like, you can crack this stuff faster and faster. Like what took me like 10 minutes to crack here, in like another 2 or 3 weeks with some decent hardware, it could take me like 2 minutes.
That sounds like a
Maybe
flop
one.
to me.
Yeah.
If you haven't ever used it, you can go to grc.com/passwords and get a full 64-bit password, or 64-character password set just automatically. It's a real effective random password
Yeah.
generator.
Longer is better.
PWJ?
Hmm?
You ever use PWJ?
Mm-mm.
That's a Linux
Once in
command.
a while,
I was go to GRC.
Now,
You what?
in your capture file,
I'm very concerned about security, so I've
It
never
spits out
done
on your
anything
screen.
like this.
Well, and that's,
Has it cracked it yet?
it's,
Pick
let
one.
me see if it's finished cracking.
You type
It's
in
kinda weird
the
sometimes,
search, you don't know which one you pick.
in your capture file, does it retain the MAC address of the device doing the handshake for purposes of maybe doing an ARP spoof?
You know, I'm gonna be just totally honest with you. I never actually looked at the capture file. I just assumed it writes to there correctly. And like I said, 2 days. I was pretty much just blazing through this as much as possible. It took 2 sick days.
It'd just be good if you were testing your own security to see, you know,
Right.
if it retained the MAC addresses for,
When this is finished, I can open it up and we can check. But
I
yeah,
got a
don't.
buddy who used to do this, and you were talking about using MAC address filters and stuff like that, and he would actually kick someone out
De-authenticate them, yeah.
and spoof their MAC so that he could authenticate as them, and the router didn't know any difference.
Right.
He's got a passphrase, he's got the MAC, okay, I'm good, I'm in.
and I was assuming you need the passphrase first, then the MAC address.
You can get them both at the same time, can't you?
Well, you're capturing them
Well,
at the same
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Capturing the MAC address first.
As long as you're capturing, you know, the data at the same time, I was just
Yeah.
thinking,
We're almost there.
Wow. It
Just gotta
varies.
get to the days.
It depends on. No. It won't do it like that.
No?
It goes through separate passes.
Jackal.
There it goes. Which is actually faster than it usually goes. It usually takes about 10 minutes.
It's pretty cool to catch it on video that way.
But yeah, it's a very simple way. If there's more interest, I'll maybe try to show them some more complicated stuff. Just gotta give them more time.
and Backtrack is its own distribution.
Yeah, that's the really cool thing. A lot of the stuff you can do it in Ubuntu if you want to take the time to just go ahead and update the necessary files. But because I'm lazy, I just went ahead and did Backtrack, which they got the pre-final version out now, which is what I'm doing this with. I just went ahead and put it on a USB, formatted it, went ahead and put the ISO on there, and just it's running off their library now. It's very easy to use. There's a lot more applications in here, and most of the stuff I put in here, the commands and stuff, you can go to those through the applications. Here, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Like, if you go through... Yeah, hold on. No, they don't have nothing that fancy. But in Backtrack, it'll give you all these applications. Let me get to the ones I was using. Radio network analysis, which, well, if I had a bigger resolution, I could probably show you more. Hold on. See? Backtrack there.
What's cow patty?
Well, I grew up in Western Kentucky, I can tell you, but I don't think it's the same context.
Yeah. And there's all those right there. The air dump, air mod, air replay.
Those are all part of, and I just installed these actually a couple days ago. I didn't know you were gonna be going over these specific ones, but
Oh, that's all.
they'll all install together.
Yeah. And like I said, you can use this on Ubuntu just as well as you can on anything else. I'm just and hate downloading stuff if I can help it. what was the other thing I was gonna go into? Oh, I mentioned two ways to get the information for the actual capture. The second way, which we mentioned a little bit earlier, was the de-authentication. That command is fairly simple, believe it or not. You just gotta open up another console for it, and I'll show you what it is, but actually,
This is to kick someone off the network.
yeah, basically, it's
This
kinda,
is assuming you've seen their MAC address so far in the
Correct.
list, okay.
yeah. So this is gonna be air replay. And run up back here, sorry. I can't remember this stuff for the life of me sometimes.
Which, if nothing else, could be fun for messing with your friends if you're
Yes,
outside their house.
yes, indeed.
Rooted.
Okay, so that's, let me make sure that's
And
right.
that's something you can do instantaneously,
Yeah, and that's
without knowing any, right.
That's what they prefer to do. Generally, they want to go ahead and do that because it's more time sensitive. You can get it done quickly, assuming that they're going to be changing the passwords frequently. It's easier to just go ahead and kick somebody off and get the handshake that way. So, let me see if I have it written down right here.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the residential routers are starting to incorporate an option, they call it WPA2 enterprise, you know, it's nothing more than using a radius server. And if you've got EAP configured to work between the router and the radius server, I've never thought through the process past this to get that information, or to secure my own information rather.
Go ahead, sorry.
So all you've done so far is captured the MAC of a device?
Yeah, which is this right here. That's the one, that's this, that's connecting me.
That you can touch?
Yeah. So in here, I'm going to go ahead and put the actual the access point MAC. Let me see where that's right. And then,
That's the MAC address of the router.
yes. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the client, which is, that might be the wrong one. Oh, but it-
And, I'm sorry, who's talking?
Copy that.
He's playing with my G when I asked me how I liked it.
Okay. And then,
Man, you realize if this thing took a SIM card, you'd have lost that about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, try not to send too many incriminating emails.
Text messages.
well, give me a pen now.
We've got version G.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Please don't call me again, my wife will find out. He's had a buddy at work, I did that, he wants to call, it's like, he's at lunch with his wife.
I don't think that.
Barry, I used to do that to him. His wife worked on
Did you just disconnect it?
I'd say something like that.
No, it didn't do it right. Oh.
So seriously, if you're using an access point where you've got radius configured, that adds another layer to it.
It's serious layer.
And I've not been able to figure out a way, which is good because I feel more confident with my security. I almost feel more confident with that than using encryption in the first place for the purposes of keeping other people off of it, not for securing the traffic,
Yeah.
but
That's a catch-22 though. Sooner or later, you're going to want.
Looks like we're disconnected.
combining the two together, I've not found I feel pretty comfortable so far.
It's still showing it's
Because what
connected.
we've got configured on one is the radius configuration. It's encrypted from the router back to the radius server using EAP.
Try something.
There it goes.
The password is transmitted over that,
Okay.
unless you're already internal to the network,
Now-
you can't see that information.
Right.
So,
Well,
any
Well,
thoughts
now I'm
on
kicked
No,
off.
that?
you're good.
Cool.
No, I have no thoughts. Yeah,
Cool.
radius is strong.
But it'll
well
send
vetted.
basically, here, I'll show you what it looks like.
That's
if
cool.
I
Now, it
have
was
it
a
in here.
little bit involved to get EAP configured.
It'll look
That
like this,
wasn't
but it'll just have one line.
as
And you gotta do
straightforward
it
as
when you're
I
capturing that,
hoped.
like
Once
you
I
have
got it
to
working,
keep this
it
running,
was,
and you
I
have
couldn't
to
think
make
through
sure that
it
it's
before you did
connected,
that.
which, assuming that the person's already
Radius-
connected, you won't have to worry
radius
about
is very, very
doing all this
strong.
crap.
Yeah.
But when you run the command up in this different terminal, make sure this is running, and then when it happens,
That's,
you'll see where it'll
that's
say
the case with an
WPA
awful
handshake,
lot of
because it'll
Yep.
disconnect it there.
security
And you can do it that way. That's actually the quicker way to do it, basically.
Just that one command, kick them off.
Yeah, hold on. But you have to run,
Do the handshake automatically once they're kicked off? Will they try to auto-connect again?
what'll happen is that if you have this running in the background, and you take the information here, like the station, all this kind of stuff, and pull up another console and run the actual AirPlay command on there, When you hit that, it'll go ahead and it'll disconnect it, but it'll create the handshake in here. It'll create basically the data you want in there. So,
So that's not so that you could hop back, that's not so you could hop on as them right away, it's just so that you can get the data you need. to
Right.
track
Force them to
it.
reconnect.
Generating the purpose of your handshake, you know,
Exactly.
Yeah.
handshake.
Exactly.
I was just wondering about the climb.
So it's
If you take them off, your hope is that they're going to reconnect immediately.
Yeah, which they are, if they know how to do it.
Yeah.
Or if their system's
But,
configured to
but
do
what
it
if it's the
automatically.
case where you've got somebody that's walked away from a laptop, it's sitting there downloading something,
Exactly.
is it gonna,
It's gonna automatically
Most
Is it
reconnect.
gonna
clients
reconnect?
will- most
Yeah,
clients
any
will
OS
auto
is set to do
reconnect.
that, yeah.
okay.
What's that, first option that you
You
pass
gotta
to pay replay?
Do what? Oh, hold on.
The dash zero.
I was thinking more.
Yeah,
like,
that's
what
0
like,
1.
You know,
What is
if you're on a wireless network that's not your
It's got,
Dude, I'm really honest. I don't know
Network.
Okay, can you type in
What?
man a replay?
Temporary cache
What do you want?
Man, M-A-N,
is really.
Yeah,
from the beginning.
What? What do you want?
Man, M-A-N, space, AR replay, dash engine.
Browser.
If you're on a wireless network